Welcome. Here I'm going to show you how to do a style transfer from a realistic to a stylized version. Both steps and all steps I took was almost exactly the same. So I'm going to show you how I did the stylized character design, and then from there all the rest was done using my realistic character where I just swapped it out later. What you see here is me basically doing a headshot from using my face from a 3D scan. I then started editing it out such that it could have the jawline that I wanted for my character. I then created a custom slider and used the more sliders within from the 10,000 pack from Reallusion that I purchased to get the cartoonistic feel that I wanted, as you see here. Once I was done with this, I used a base PBR for the skin shader, which was with no reflectivity. I then did a clot transfer from the original clot design that I did. Tested for any mesh penetration, and from there I tested the animation. I didn't need the skin to match the same, so in SkinGen, if you save the skin as a specific skin type, your materials will be able to be transferred over, no problem. And when you do the animation, it should be fine. The idea I went with for this competition was a basic but humorous wildlife documentary presentation, a more like safety video of how you should stay away from animals and keep your hands to yourself. So in order to do this, I used a base free motion from Rococo Studio that they provided a while back as part of their old competitions. I then used a key Reallusion pack, Apocalypse pack, one of the Apocalypse packs. I then started using the base morphs to get the base character shape and started designing the character from there, focusing on like more friendlier guy feel, who was going to be a like adventurer in the forest with his scruffy hair and tattered clothing. To get the tattered clothing, I used opacity maps to get the torn look, and then I started texturing to get the wet look by using high specular and adjusting the normals. I then started using the Reallusion SkinGen and started putting together the bruises and dirt packs in key locations where those torn parts were to get the look and feel of the character being scratched and torn, and his clothing scratched and torn, whereas his body tattered from walking through the bush. Here you see I'm testing expressions and the look development to make sure it matches my look and feel. I tested the expressions to make sure that all the expressions were fine and there was no mesh penetration. I then decided to save the character, custom character, so that I could reuse it in the event I want to swap it out. And then from there, I round tripped it with iClone and Character Creator back and forth to keep testing the different motions to make sure that the mesh penetration was all fixed for all the different motions that you could have. I was having my fun here. You can see just testing out different clothings to make sure it was matching what I wanted. I felt a darker, more muddy tone looked better as it would match the forest wildlife look. I then finalized the model, updated the expressions using custom eyebrows and custom mesh. I noticed when using the expressions, the SkinGen was overlapping and getting lost. This custom maps were getting lost, so I had to basically keep the normal maps but remove the diffusers so that it maintained the look when all the movements were done. I then went to CapCut and started using free Pixabay and other sound effects from Pixabay to get the sound design. I then layered it all together so that I could get a base accurate lip sync, which I used using Aculips. Here you see me basically editing the Vizims tracks to best match the lips as close as possible. I then went into live face as well as key motion editing to basically match the keys to what I needed. I then saved the motion track and just kept editing back and forth until I got the base motions that I wanted. At this point, most of the animation was good, and I started finalizing camera cut tracks, making sure that everything was as I wanted it. The cameras were a bit hard to do. In order to get the environment right, I used an HDRI to provide the best lighting. I then saved the project and then did a round trip into Unreal Engine 5, where most of the motions and design just came across quite seamlessly. I then did a final render test. This wasn't a final render, but it was the look test that I needed for the motions to get an idea of how the HDRI would play. And that's pretty much how I did it in less than 36 hours.